of identification, as alluded to by some colleagues here, is no longer limited to the nation states. We are therefore interconnecting and intertwining our futures as never before. Among some of the pillars of convergence which we have heard reference here today is the One Planet Earth, the environment, one single global economy, which again attests to the fact that nation states are no longer the only unit of analysis or point of departure. Non-state actors, NGOs, are increasingly part and parcel of the international order. With this having been said, as the international agenda becomes more crowded, there will be an increasing role for multilateralism and the United Nations to play. We have heard today and over the last 3 days the 3 signature events that are happening on the global agenda, in which CARICOM is also part and parcel of. Global problems will therefore require global solutions. So there is no lack of opportunity for us in the region to lead, to insert ourselves, but for this our new diplomacy must be prepared. And I want to be a bit, to join with the others in saying that I'm not going to stick to the script that Andy has prescribed for me. I'm going to base it based on my practical experience at the United Nations, where I was fortunate to represent Trinidad and Tobago for a number of years. And from the vantage point I now occupy, working in the Secretary General's office. For most member states, small member states, the first line of our defense and our primary instrument for effective engagement internationally is diplomacy. This has helped us in the past to surmount challenges and our limitations of size. And to navigate the contemporary international system, we need to continue to do so. We may be small in size, but as our experience has shown at the United Nations, big in ideas and impact. I wanted to draw a few specific examples by looking at some of the successful countries. The experience of Singapore, or most small states, tell us that to become serious players at the United Nations is to have a well-resourced and well-managed foreign service. There is no single successful country that has not had a serious foreign service. There is also no serious country that has not strived to achieve a balance between political appointees and career diplomats. These countries have made conscious decisions to strike a balance. They realize the importance of diplomacy to their survival. It is not something to be taken lightly. Unfortunately, that has not been the recent experience in Trinidad or in our region. I can illustrate from my own personal experience when I joined the Trinidad and Tobago mission in 1995. Trinidad and Tobago, as colleagues might know, was one of the leaders in the negotiations for the 1982 Law of the Sea Convention. At my very first UN meeting in 1995, some 13 years later after the adoption of the Law of the Sea Convention, I was being told of the exploits of one of our career diplomats, no less a person than Lennox Bala. His name and that of Trinidad and Tobago had left its imprint on my developed country colleagues. He was a career diplomat. He was one who became an insider and who negotiated key aspects of the Law of the Sea Convention. In that same vein, I had the privilege to work under Anna de Ziels, one of the premier diplomats and women from our region who stood out. Like Mr. Bala, Anna de Ziels was another career diplomat. Her experience and understanding of the intricacies of the UN, her understanding of the politics of the institution, opened doors for junior diplomats like myself. They knew the organization and how it worked. Now they were imparting that knowledge to young career diplomats like myself. Several CARICOM countries have over the years, through successive governments, consciously or unconsciously adopted an approach to deprofessionalize the foreign service. In Trinidad and Tobago, our situation has been compounded in that we have gone even further. The service has been further weakened by the introduction of a parallel process of contract officers. And here I mean no disrespect to our hard-working colleagues at the missions abroad or in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's just a reality that has to be reversed because this is not going to serve us well. It's a management nightmare. it does nothing to improve motivation of staff, to improve productivity, and to ensure that we can engage effectively and efficiently on the world stage. For small island states and for the Caribbean region, we have alluded in this discussion over the last few days to the importance of education and human resource. The quality of human resource expertise has been the single most important factor which has enabled us as Caribbean states to continue to punch above our weight and size on the global stage. Many an ambassador over the recent years, because I do keep the contacts, given that I work in the Secretary General's office, has asked me, where is CARICOM? We have in many instances led only to drop the ball on pressing issues of the day. Climate change is now claimed by several regions or entities. I don't know how many of you would notice. I guess because of AOSIS, we were actively engaged. And thanks to the foresight, perhaps of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in this instance, and the Ministry of Environment, we continue to have that lead role through the Ministry of Environment, and one of the lead negotiators on the climate change has been Kishan Kumar Singh. But that is more the exception than the norm. I would like to throw out a suggestion, and I don't know to what extent the discussions have been taking place, but I would really hope that the Diplomatic Academy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can work to devise a plan, a training to reinvigorate and strengthen our foreign service. It is only if we are prepared for the new diplomacy can we engage effectively. I know it will take some time, but I think we have wasted too much time over the years with not giving the kind of proper resources and dedication to foreign service. I also want to ask the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Minister, and to those various Caribbean countries who are represented here at the governmental level, and including the CARICOM Secretariat. And I think we have done that, some of it here, because I've seen colleagues from the OAS, senior nationals and regional colleagues from the OAS and international organizations. We are already small. We need to maximize and optimize the resources we have at our disposal. There are several senior nationals in the OAS, in the Commonwealth, and the United Nations. They constitute a reservoir of knowledge, experience, and goodwill that can and should be tapped and utilized in a more systematic manner. I also want to throw out an appeal to CARICOM leaders that in their internal diplomacy, they begin to address seriously the fragmentation in our foreign policies. The situation with respect to the recent ACP, OAS, and Commonwealth candidates does the region and our credibility no good in the eyes of the international community. Consistency in foreign policy is good foreign policy. For years, the international community and friends have come to expect unity in CARICOM's foreign policies. They are surprised and even disappointed when they see us fielding 2 and 3 candidates. I want to also urge CARICOM to strategize better on the strength and power we possess in numbers, particularly when our votes are being collectively sought by big countries, especially for candidates like the Security Council. It is time, as our colleagues have talked about, that we be more strategic in our engagement. A couple of final points. I'm going out of the box here because I don't know if this has been done before, but I think it's important to mention. One of the most important challenges we face as a region is crime, the violence, small arms. I honestly do not believe that there is no reason when we have an endorsed GRULA candidate here for the ATT Secretariat in Trinidad and Tobago, that the regional voice at the highest political level should be brought to bear on that candidate here. We need to locate such an institution that will continue to draw attention to the fundamental problem of crime, small arms, drugs in our region. So just on a closing note, and I'm sorry to have been so personal but so practical, but I thought that experience was necessary to bring to the table. A more assertive diplomacy has to be the approach of CARICOM and the Caribbean in a world that is fast converging around a common set of values and new geopolitical realities. But to quote, I think, one of the speakers yesterday, it's important that we get back to the basics. We must have, and I risk repeating myself here, but it's so important. We must have a well-resourced and well-managed foreign service, equipped to engage more effectively and efficiently in the international arena. Ensuring our human resource that is engaged in representation, negotiation, and that continues to be of the highest quality, and is given the tools to negotiate, deliver, and influence outcomes is an imperative. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we're getting very close to the end of the sea. There's already a lineup of people waiting to ask questions of the panel. I just want to say that I think that we've had a good discussion about the importance of small states to utilize the collectivity of the region in order to punch above their weight. Small states don't have access to many of the major clubs. And my voice, this is probably my last gasp. But small states don't have access to many of the major clubs out there, the G7, the BRICS. But we can actually create our own clubs in the region. And through convergence, as Foreign Minister would tell you, we can probably do some trans-regional collaboration as well, so we can punch above our weight at the international level. So we're going to open up the floor for questions right now. And perhaps someone could take over so that I can save my voice in terms of directing the questions to the panelists. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want to crave the indulgence of this August gathering to let them know that I did not intend to speak today for fear of becoming an elegant nuisance. However, my passion to be on duty for the people should not be betrayed, and so I shall speak. And as a good diplomat, we are taught not to be shaken by the foibles and follies. So I wish to remind that should the red card be raised, I shall not be moved. Thank you.
Well, I will have the last say there, but please make your contribution.
Yes, I will indeed. I think I stayed the course. I was a good student, a law-abiding citizen. I did my responsibility.
We're wasting time, sister. Can we make your contribution?
I am to have a few little privileges.
Yes, thank you. Can we have the contribution?
Yes. We are told that diplomacy is war by other means, but I don't intend to make war. But what we were not told is that diplomacy was prostitution by any other means. And when we look around and see how some of our small Caribbean